Hello and welcome to Rising Match Day this Saturday the 31st of July. I'm Owen Evans, here to talk through all the main stories ahead of tonight's Phoenix game against RGV. Coming up on the show. He's been finding the net lately, but also has been a rock at the back. Hear more from James Musa. Rising continuing to extend its lead atop the Pacific Division. But what's going on elsewhere? And it's a new opponent for this season tonight, and a new look for them since Rising last saw them. So what's going on with RGV? But first, let's take a look back to last weekend's match in San Diego. So a fourth and final regular season encounter between Rising and San Diego Loyal. The hosts taking the last one at Torero Stadium 2-1 last month. But Rising found the net first this time. Joe Farrell playing the ball across. A crowd of Loyal defenders can't deal with it, and James Musa is there to turn it into the net. No shortage of opportunities for Loyal to clear that one, including from goalkeeper Trey Muse, who reaches out but can't come up with a ball or knock it away from his goal. Early second half, Rising with a great chance to double their advantage. It falls here to Rufat Dadashov, whose effort hits back off the post and into the field of play. Rising would have a couple of other chances, but none for a San Diego side who struggled to work the ball into the penalty area, Rising taking it 1-0. So let's take a look at the stats. San Diego with an impressive 71% possession, but of course it's what you do with the ball that counts, and they did very little. After the match, Loyal captain Charlie Adams came out and said his side played the way they wanted to play, and Landon Donovan described his team's performance as, quote, almost flawless. Despite those rave reviews from the Loyal camp, their side didn't register a single shot on goal. Rising with less than a third of the possession registered 6, which is actually greater than San Diego's total shots, including those off target. Here's some extra insight from that one from Rick Schantz and James Musa.
Well, the game plan was the first 15 minutes to press and to play in their half as much as we could, because we know on the road you're playing against a hostile crowd, you're playing against a very good team that likes to build rhythm, and we wanted to, as we said, be the first team to punch them in the mouth and to hit them first and to get after them as hard as possible from the beginning. And once we scored, then they had the responsibility to make the game, and we didn't care if they had possession in their own half anymore. But what I was really, really pleased with was the distance from our back four to our midfield line. When we dropped into our mid-block, there was not a big gap. So where we struggled with Jack Blake finding the spaces in between our lines last game, there was no room. And even when we shot out to press, the defense was so close to the midfield that we could force them back. I think they had 570 successful passes and they only had 115 forward passes. So for us, that was a very, very good example. We do have to be better in transition. We were not very clinical. I think we should have scored 2 or 3 goals, but we made the game a little bit harder than we had to. Good performance, though.
It's just concentration and the willingness to defend and to feel comfortable in those areas. I know San Diego were excited and happy with the amount of possession they had, but for us, we were comfortable in that shape. We didn't need the ball to win that game because they were going to give it to us, and they couldn't break us down. The amount of times their striker probably touched it was you could count on one hand. So if a team can't break us down, we know we always have the threat on the attacking side. So it's just staying comfortable and concentrated in those positions and enjoying it. I was enjoying the fact that they couldn't break us down, the look on their face, and for me that was enjoyment.
So one of the talking points from that match, and indeed before it, can we consider this matchup to be a rivalry?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, it makes no difference for me. San Diego's just another team. I think the rivalry's more on their end than it is our end. For us, it's literally just another 3 points. We take every game with the same seriousness, same mentality. I think it's other teams that put the onus on themselves to make it a big match against us.
I think they like to talk a lot. I think we're kind of just doing our business. We're trying to handle things one game at a time. Obviously, I'm new to Phoenix, but I know around the league, Phoenix has a big target on their back just because of all the success over the years. And that's why guys want to be here. You want to win championships, you want to win trophies, and I think you come to Phoenix and you know that's a big possibility, as well as the club treats the players properly.
Well, one of the recurring themes this season, there's been a lot of rotation, but one person hasn't been rotated. That's James Musa, who's played in every single minute of the season so far. Here's more on that from Rick and James.
Yeah, it was... before we signed him, I had a long conversation. He actually had flown out to Phoenix, and we went to lunch and talked, and I said that, you know, I believe that his future as a footballer, especially in USL, is at center back, and you know, finding a good left-footed center back that can play under pressure but still is good in the air. He's still good in the challenge. He's still got to get a little bit stronger, I think, you know, just holding off big strikers. But when we play teams that don't have that huge target, number 9, he's been fantastic. So most teams don't have that guy in this league. So he's been great. You know, he's continuing to improve, and we see it every day. And you know, I think he's gonna. It's helped his career quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive. You want to have kind of a solid, you know, someone you can depend on, a rock in the back line. Most, you know, of your top teams in the world have that guy. I said that to Rick and the coaches when I was setting my goals for the season, was that I wanted to be that guy in the back line that the team can kind of depend on and build off. You know, I think I've done well so far. Obviously, there's still improvements and things that we can do better each week. And as long as we keep, you know, watching the film back, making improvements on what we can see, and we'll keep doing well.
Musa scoring in each of the last 2 games, both from set pieces. But why are things just going so right from those set plays?
I mean, we know that we have big, dominating players in the team. So it's really, you know, something that we should be scoring more goals from. If you just look at the size difference from most of these teams we play, we dominate them all. So for us to be, I think I said it in the last game, to keep improving week in, week out on the amount of positives we get from set pieces, and this just adds to the list. So, I mean, it's not designed to go the way it's gone, but 2 assists for Joey and 2 goals for me, it's just worked out nicely that way.
And one other bit of insight at centre-back, we've still yet to see Manuel Madrid in action, but Rick did give us an update on how he's getting on in the training pitch here in Phoenix.
He's getting more fit. You know, he came in a little bit out of shape, and which was expected. What we love about Madrid is his ability on the ball. He's very, very calm and composed. Watching his defending, he's a really intelligent defender. He doesn't get beat for moves or for people dropping into the midfield, and he's just trying to learn the culture and learn how the team plays. So we're happy with him right now. Super excited.
Well, let's take a look now at the rest of the Pacific Division. We'll start at Orange County, where OC hosted Sacramento Republic last weekend. Sacramento getting on the board first, Carlton Belmar cutting in from the outside, the defence just stepping off him a little too much, allowing him to get his shot off. But shortly after, Brent Richards getting on the end of a corner well beyond the far post, he heads it back into the mixer where Ronaldo Damas, fresh off of international duty with Haiti, was on hand to level the scores. Into the second half, and a ball played across the face of goal by Nathan Smith. Near the far post, Brent Richards on hand to put it in from close range, and he makes no mistake to give the hosts the advantage. They couldn't hang on though. Into stoppage time, Mitchell tamed with a cross in, and Nabalai Kibanguchi getting his head onto it to rescue a point for Sacramento Republic. On to LA Galaxy 2, who were still reeling from their 5-0 defeat against Phoenix the week prior. They faced Oakland. Shortly after the half-hour mark, Axel Picasso outrunning the defender, his low cross knocked on by Jorge Hernandez into the path of Josh Drack, who gives Los Dos a 1-0 lead. Into the second half, and Owen Lamb's corner turned in with ease by Carlos Harvey to double the advantage. Then, with 5 minutes to play, LA seal it. Josh Drack is picked out on the overlap, he finds Jorge Hernandez in the area with no keeper to beat. LA Galaxy 2 winning it 3-0. Next up, Vegas hosting Orange County at Cashman Field. And it's a promising start for Vegas. Danny Masovsky's legs taken out from under him in the first few minutes. Lights given the spot kick. Masovsky, who earned it, steps up to take it, but his effort far too central and saved by Abraham Romero. It didn't take long for them to make up for the miss though, Cal Jennings dispatching this easy effort. But Orange County fought back. Brent Richards plays this one to Brian Orlowski, who brings the scores level. 10 minutes to play, Cal Jennings again, an impressive turn followed by the shot and the lead restored, 2-1. Not finished there either, Romero far too far out of his goal. Eric Orlowski, Brian's brother, picks it up and seals the 3 points, 3-1 Lights. Final game of the week, San Diego looking to bounce back on their trip to Tacoma. After an uneventful first half, Defiance scoring first, Musa unable to hold on to Juan Alvarez's shot, Azriel Gonzalez pounces on it to score from less than a yard out. Loyal bring it level though, Miguel Ibarra's cross met by the diving header of Tumi Mushabani to make it 1-1. But that would only last for 10 minutes. A variety of errors at the back from Loyal as they never really look comfortable in this sequence. Gonzalez wins it, a very impressive back heel to Carlos Anguiano, and it's 2-1 to Tacoma. No more goals here, but that doesn't mean we have nothing else to talk about. Corey Herzog going in late on the Defiance goalkeeper to kick off a mass confrontation in the dying minutes of the match. Two red cards issued in the end, Morgan Hackworth sent off for Loyal, Eric Kinsner sent off for Tacoma, Herzog gets a yellow, and the game ends 2-1 to Defiance. So Rising extending their lead at the top of the table to 7 points while also having 2 games in hand. Orange County and San Diego both dropping points over the last week, but remaining the more comfortable of the playoff sides. 3 teams on the same points battling over that last playoff spot. Sacramento only 3 points shy of them. Oakland remain languishing at the bottom of the pile. So a few games today, Oakland hosting Orange County at Las Positas College at 5:30. Sac Republic hosting New York Red Bulls 2 at 8. Tomorrow afternoon, Tacoma Defiance facing New Mexico at 1:30. While LA Galaxy 2 and San Diego Loyal go up against the Gold Cup final as they kick off at 5. So now, Rising looking forward to their first spell of 3 games in 8 days of the season. Of course, it should have happened earlier this year, but the midweek game then called off due to positive COVID tests in the Oakland camp. But how do you approach a week like this?
Yeah, so it's interesting. You know, we look at it as there's 1 game this week and then 2 games the following week. So how we recover from Saturday's game on Sunday and Monday will determine whether we make major changes or not on Wednesday, because we're going to Oakland. We still don't know what field we're playing at. I don't think we know yet because the FIFA was supposed to be looking at their stadium with the turf. So we're not sure where we're playing. We're not sure what the environment will be like, but that'll dictate kind of the amount of experience that you want to put on the field. And then, of course, then you go from there to Vegas. We're not coming home in between, so we'll be able to evaluate everybody and decide if we need to bring more players or not.
Still, focusing on the first game, RGV tonight, a team that used to be Houston Dynamo's reserve team, independent for the first time this season. What should we expect out of them?
RGV's been good this year. They've definitely improved from the previous years. Wilmer's a good coach, and they have some good veteran players. So it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a little different than what we've seen, and it's at a conference game. So hopefully we can keep getting 3 points and keep building.
RGV is always a tough opponent. I know that they're doing really well in their conference this year. Familiar with a few of their players. I think the positive for us going into the game is that we don't have to travel there. It's a tough place to play.
Man, unbelievable team. Very experienced, very Latin-style football. But of course, Wilmer is the coach, and you know he was one of the best players ever to come and coach in the U.S. He's such a experienced coach and manager. So, and they have a 40-year-old forward, Vicente Sanchez, that's very, very good. A lot of experience, but yet in the midfield they have some young, very good players. So Roro Rodriguez is there, and Rodrigo Lopez, and Juan Kazane. Defensively, I think they're very good. They sit in a 4-2-3-1. I wouldn't expect them to change a lot, but going to be a hard team to beat. This is going to be probably one of our more difficult games of the season. I think that division is very good. There's a lot of very good teams in that division.
Well, one player to watch on that side, Rodrigo Lopez, an experienced head who had 2 spells out here in the West with Sacramento Republic.
Yeah, Roro's been a good player in the USL for many years. Obviously with SAC, and then he went to Mexico, came back. But yeah, he's a good player, veteran player, knows the league, knows how to play properly, and he's a good leader. So I expect him to be standard and be good.
Range of passing, his awareness on the field, his ability to keep possession. I think the big challenge for him is just mobility these days. So it's important for us to move him around as much as we can.
Do you think Sacramento made a mistake letting him go?
I don't know. I wasn't there at the time. Maybe it just didn't work out. Maybe it wasn't good in the locker room. Maybe they thought it was time to move on. Everyone has to make those decisions.
Lopez with 2 goals and 3 assists so far this season in 14 appearances, all but one of those coming as part of the starting 11. Expect him to come out as more of a defensive midfielder, although he can be moved around in the middle as necessary. But looking at Rising tonight, what do they need to improve?
Defensively, from the last game, it would be pretty damn hard to improve. I don't think we allowed a shot, but we gave up 70% possession. That's pretty hard to improve upon. I think our big thing for us now is the offensive transition, making forward runs, playing forward and supporting it quickly. That would be the area we'd have to improve.
And finally, is there any relief that Rising will be at home for this one, instead of having to travel east to a much more humid Texas?
Phoenix with the humidity now is like trying to mimic what RGV is like. So I think last week was the most humid I've ever seen here. Today was a tough day for the guys physically. It was very hot and humid. So I love playing in RGV, to be honest. I love the stadium and I love the atmosphere that they have there, but nothing beats being at home. It doesn't matter where we were going.
That's all we have time for today. Tonight's match, a 7:30 p.m. kickoff at Wild Horse Pass. I'll see you there. Enjoy the match. Goodbye.